Well, greetings, everybody. It's July, and it definitely feels like it. And, yes.
Oh, man.
Greg, do you know how to say to the contrary in Norwegian?
I'm melting. No.
I
don't know how to say anything in Norwegian.
Okay, the story goes, and I hope it's true, that Henrik Ibsen was on his deathbed, and a visitor came in. And the nurse said, oh, he's perking up. And Ibsen goes, to the contrary, slips into a coma and dies. Now, one of those, if it's not true, you hope it is. Why am I talking about Ibsen with Greg? That does not sound right. It's like, bologna and ketchup. But we have our good friends from DVC back, and it's a Hummingbird co-production, too. I actually did a little homework on this one. We have Mario, MJ, and Alexus, who are just going this down there, or down in Nova there. Coming up next week, and you have to go see it, Hedda Gabler. I've been using the turkey term, Hedda Gabler.
We've heard it pronounced 3 different ways, so.
DVC, next week on the 12th, 13th, and everything. We'll talk about that now. But how do you come up with, when you're tossing ideas, what your next project's going to be?
Well, for this particular project, it was a little bit different in that we, the 3 of us, were in Stratford at the Stratford Festival last year, and all of us have some level of history with Hedda Gabler in some way through life, because it's been around even longer than DVC has, as it's plays about 130 years old at this point. 135, I believe. And we saw a production of Hedda Gabler there shortly after, very shortly after, when we were kind of kicking around ideas, we had some ideas of what some of the upcoming shows were going to look like, that were in various states of completion or just kind of thinking about in the future what would the show look like, and this kind of jumped to the forefront because I believe what happened is both Alexus and MJ said, we want to do this show and play. We both want to play Hedda Gabler, and we refuse to accept otherwise.
That is not what happened.
That's apparently not what happened. What happened was it was just hours after we'd seen it, and I said, what if we did this? I mean, I look at a show and I go, oh, here's some things that I loved about this production. Here's some things that would be different were this a DVC production. And so you take inspiration from other artworks and you interpret that into the way that you want to present the story. And so the first thing I did present was, what if we did this show, but just for fun, because,
it's not hard enough.
It's not complicated enough. What if we do the show and the two, well, it's very ensemble-based, but obviously Hedda Gabler is the lead character, and Jørgen Tesman, her husband, is the secondary character, and the two of them, I said, what happens if you play both of these roles? What if we did the show and you swapped roles? We had talked about the idea of swapping roles in a different thing before.
We had, yeah.
But I mean, there's a lot. Tesman is back and forth on the stage throughout the 4 acts, on and off stage frequently. And once Hedda gets onto the stage about, 9 minutes into the show or so, she really doesn't leave. So, it was a lot required of it, but luckily I knew these two crazy people would jump at the chance to have an opportunity as actors to play two very different characters in their essence, back to back. And then it just became an idea where, from a practical standpoint, we had to split it up by weekend, with Alexus taking 3 of the shows and MJ taking other 3 shows as Hedda. And from there, it turned into, we have 2 different casts, by the way.
Good compromise.
We have 2 different Loveborgs and 2 different Bracks. So, the fun of this show is, if you see it each weekend, it's a very different show that is, still conceptually sound and still gets across the message.
But we're going twice, yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
It's a very interesting thing to see, the story told through, how these actors interpret the characters they're playing in the variety of moments throughout, where it's a fun key. Plus, as I said, they get to play off of people who weren't even in the show the previous week.
Yeah.
So 4 of the 7 characters are really rotating roles between weekends or stepping into new roles.
I'm going to be confused before I see this. Wait a second. You know what? Okay, all I could think of, though, is the cheesy movie with John Travolta and Nicolas Cage Face Off.
Right, that John Woo
exactly
film.
the same.
Yeah.
It's the same.
Or you're Doctor Who.
They don't actually change roles during the show. I want to clarify that.
Not intentionally.
It's entirely. We have had a few moments where one of them forgets who they are.
I know if it was me, I would do like the wrong. It's like I always wonder, like with Greg, with so many bands, how you don't launch into the song from a different group.
I have started different intros at times. Oh, they do it this way. Oh, crap, I forgot.
I mean, how many drum intros can there be? Right?
Yes,
I gotta say too, I think that the poster for this is awesome looking. Who did this analogy?
Oh,
Good
yeah.
eye, how the freaky eyes.
We have for a while been having promotional pictures for our shows taken by Kelly Kester.
Kelly Kester Photography.
She's phenomenal.
Correct. Works right here in Rochester. We've known her for quite a while, and she's been a fan and supporter of DVC. Her husband, Nate, actually played keyboards in a couple of our shows years ago when he was a teacher at Wilson Magnet with me. And so she's been great, delivering amazing pictures that we start putting up in the weeks prior to the shows that, in our humble opinion, look as amazing or more amazing than any other promo pictures out there. And then the alterations are done by Karen Kraft, who works with, is a part of Polite Inc., sketch and improv comedy troupe, and she's also been allied with us for quite a long time, and does all of our has done all of our program designs for the past 3 years or so.
Yeah.
So that's been really great. It's been great working with people who are very visually creative.
You should sell that poster.
With the 2 roles and the double characters there, were there any makeup or wardrobe issues, like as far as like a lot of, customizing and things like that, or?
Yeah, so what we tried to do is I've tried to create costumes. Like, we always have a design element. We have design elements to costume design. And so I've tried to work within those elements to create costumes based on the actor playing the role, but based on the character too. So our Heddas, the costumes, the colors are the same. We have slightly different elements of our costumes. Same for the 2 actors playing the Loveborgs. The elements of their costume are the same, but coloring's a little bit different. Slight details are different.
Right.
So
if somebody's thinner or shorter or taller or something,
so we have to I buy costumes based on that particular actor.
Okay.
So people won't be wearing the same costume pieces because most of our actors are different sizes, and I don't want somebody to, not fit their costume or be uncomfortable. Exactly.
In Weekend 2 in particular, our Loveborg and Brax are considerably taller than you.
So tall.
I mean, I could have made this a lot simpler. Just put a little hi. My name is. I think of all things, I'm thinking of when I saw Bob Dylan, because I didn't realize at the time Bob doesn't play guitar anymore. He plays keyboards because it's like his hands arthritis. So I was staring at the keyboard player for the first 4 songs. I was staring at the guitar player thinking it was Dylan. And it wasn't. He was the keyboard player. And I'm looking at a guy in a hat like this. Oh, why doesn't it look like he's singing? Oh, there's Bob. Now this is, I am the strange and unusual. But from my reading of this play, shut up. My reading of this play, something struck me. You can tell me if I'm totally off base. Is Hedda basically Hamlet?
Solving the puzzle of Hedda is probably very similar. Let me turn this over to people who may have been involved in productions of or played Hamlet.
Interesting. Yeah.
Or hi, Ophelia.
Right?
We do have a Hamlet and Ophelia from previous productions. So
we actually talked about Hedda being Hamlet.
So I'm not just my insane self.
No. Yes, it's
people
very,
understand me. Be on every week.
Yeah, there are a lot of similarities, I think. Hedda kind of has her own internal monologue happening throughout this show. And Hedda is a really rich character that is hard to interpret and hard to define. And there have been a lot of interpretations out there, and some, I think, that we've seen, have been more successful than others. And, I think going into it, we tried to kind of go along with the concept that we're going for in this particular play and fitting our versions of Hedda into that concept.
And try in like a spoiler-free way and try to bring in some of the other people who are in the cast. You always have great casts.
Yeah.
And just what this is about and like other people are playing whom. And
Yeah, it like Hamlet, I think, to kind of close off or kind of cap what MJ was saying, this idea of making Hamlet a person because the character is so known and so interpreted and so seen and so read by so many people that you go, how do you make this, a fully realized human being? Like, the details are there in Shakespeare's script, but it's a complicated process to do that. And with Hedda, there's also many interpretations of the play. We're doing the particular new one by a new version by Patrick Marber.
Who wrote Closer, by the way.
Right, which was another play that that MJ had been a part of some time ago. So that's a tough order for both of them to do, but it's been an exciting challenge. As far as the other actors in the show, we have the other rotating actors. The first week, Eilert Lovborg, the troubled poet, struggling with alcoholism, is
Really? I have no trouble with that.
and he's working hard at reforming. He's reformed. Is played by Vince Dalba, and then the following week, Caleb Wiggins is playing the character, and then the character of Judge Brack, who is in a lot of ways Hedda's nemesis in this play. Yeah. Is in the first week played by Joey Chacon, and in the second week is being portrayed by Kevin Chaba. And then we have our three characters who remain the same through the 2 weeks. And Taya Elfstead is played by Adriana Allen, who has been with us for pretty much most of the shows we've done since post-pandemic. And Najwa Beth Mercado is playing Berta, who is the house servant, long connection to the family, and is just getting the pleasure of serving in the household under Hedda now that she's a part of it. Hedda's not easy to get along with. So there's interesting friction there. And then the last character there is Aunt Juliana, who is related to Hedda's husband, Jorgen Tessman. And Denise Bartolo is playing that role, and we're very excited to have her as part of the show, because as you mentioned at the beginning of this, this is a co-production of DVC with Hummingbird Theater Company, and Hummingbird Theater Company was run by Don Bartolo, who was an amazing person in this community in the arts and education field, and that we knew for many years. MJ was in several of his shows through Hummingbird and other production companies, and when he's passed away a couple of months ago, but when we were talking, when he was in hospice, we talked about, he asked us where DVC was going next, and we said one of the things we were thinking of doing was Hedda Gabler. We hadn't nailed down for sure that we were doing it yet, and he was excited with that prospect, and he said, we make this a co-production. I'd like to do whatever you want. You have the freedom to create the show you want to create, but I'd like to, be a part of this in some way. And so he passed away during the early stages of getting the show together. But we're very happy that we're able to do this co-production, and Denise, Bart's wife, who also helped him in so many ways theatrically, and was in a bunch of shows as well. We asked her, actually at Bart's memorial, if she was interested in being a part of the show and playing the role, and she accepted and was happy to be a part of it. So we're happy to have her be a part of it, to have that living, connecting piece of Hummingbird Theater Company.
Oh, that's really good. That's good. Another question, maybe I'm off base again, but like in terms of learning lines, preparing for a role, does it help more you get into the mindset of the character? And if this is true, how did it work having to do the flip-flop
Okay, well, in order to memorize my lines, I have just a notebook filled with my lines, and I write them over and over and over and over and over again and try to, I don't know, connect and make moments through that, which is, oh God, describing a process like that, it looks like I'm having a mental breakdown because I'm just furiously writing all of my lines in this notebook. And for me, it helps me to know where they are in the script. Like, I can see the page in my head, and I try to know where my lines are coming in. And then I have to have a separate script for Tessman, and I have to memorize that one almost completely independently. I have to forget everything I know about the show. And it's interesting because when I am memorizing lines for one of them, it feels like I don't know the lines for the other one, which is crazy.
Well, is it like you see the whole paragraph, sort of speak, of the page, and like, do you see the whole idea, or do you see snippets?
I highlight all my lines in bright orange, and I can just sort of, in my head, see chunks of text, and I try to just remember what's in them.
Right.
Like, I don't have like a photographic memory, but it helps me to see the shape of this scene in a way.
Yeah. Do the lines before your line? Do you kick off of those? I mean,
yes,
kind of
you have
to.
You have to know the cue lines as well as you can, because if you don't, or if sometimes you over-memorize just your lines, you end up cutting people off.
You talking to me? Oh, sorry.
That's why I never got a book near and dear to me, Fahrenheit 451. And please let it stay a book. But one thing that got me is I could never be that person who could memorize the whole book, because you would be getting... Right. It would start with Moby Dick, and you'd be getting, like, the Amazing Spider-Man or something. Because I just can't memorize. That's why I keep tons of notebooks, like journals, because I write and things. But a lot of times I write stuff down because I just can't remember what I said, like, 15 minutes ago.
I think every actor, too, has their own process.
Right.
I'm somebody who needs to analyze a script. I need to know why my character is saying things before I can really memorize the words. So... Yeah,
it's also really hard to memorize before you incorporate movement. Like, I connect a lot of my lines to the blocking, like where I'm standing, who I'm talking to, like what movement comes in the middle of this, and what idea that connects to in the lines and in the character motivation. Like, it all has to sort of come together. Apologies.
Yes.
It was, I mean, you can speak to this part because it was, I think, probably particularly complicated because when we're rehearsing the show, we are often rehearsing with you playing each of the two characters, right? So we run through Act 3 with Alexus playing Hedda and MJ playing Tessman, and then it's a half an hour later, and we're running through Act 3 with them playing the opposite characters. I don't know if that was the best rehearsal process choice. Maybe you can speak to whether it was or not.
I'd say it's difficult.
It's difficult.
Because it's an entirely different mindset, an entirely different physicality. And once you've got one of them in your body, you have to really shake them out in order to get to the other one, because they, I don't know, carry themselves and live so differently in this world. You
have to, I would imagine, you have to get used to saying things as you're crossing the room or changing your position or something like that. Like, if you let the movement override the line, you're going to, you know what I mean? It's
they
easy
have to work in tandem, so it's like very
exactly.
interesting.
Yeah.
I also just like to point out that as complicated as this is, Alexus and MJ are involved in so many different aspects of DVC and the production. Alexus is our, primary set design builder for one thing.
Wow.
And, MJ has been doing props and costumes and co-directing a show. And it's a big ask to have people step outside of the roles that they're to carry so many roles through a show. It's the way DVC does things. Yeah. We do things very collaboratively, and there's a small group of us also adding in.
Use what you have,
Yeah, that's what it is. I mean, it's an idea of the three of us and Jamie Tujaka, who is stage managing the production and has been involved in a lot of aspects of it, and just the idea of us sitting down saying, okay, well, what can we, what does everybody bring to the table, and how many roles can we play? On stage and off stage. I will not be playing any roles on stage ever. But
I might make a cameo even if I don't want to, just looking at you. But one of the things I've always totally respected all of you is you always go you're reaching out like New Frontiers. It's never the safe stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering, in a way, in terms of, again, preparing for roles, doing different roles, do you ever find yourself, when you really get immersed, taking the character home with you a little, like you're doing something, well, so-and-so, wait a second, I'm not doing this, so-and-so would do this. So if you ever play like a serial killer, you're like, Rob, hi, I want to come over.
Never intentionally. You sort of, for your own sanity, have to try to separate as much as you can, but it's interesting because you do find yourself doing, I don't know, like little elements of physicality. Like when I'm walking alone around my house and I just go to set something down, I'm like, that was a very character way to set something down. Like, that wasn't me.
Start drinking, even though you're suffering from alcohol.
Just talking to the dog, and I'm like, you don't need to listen to me right now. Actually, that wasn't me.
Dog gives you
You're
like looks
fine.
like my dog would do when I'm like reciting Poe to her.
You get the tilted head from the
Do you ever
dog.
know when I'm picking up, now I always get names wrong, even though I saw it how many, like 40 times Edge, like Sylvia Plath.
Yeah.
When you're doing something as powerful as that one person show, did that affect you at all?
It always does. I mean, as hard as we try, as actors, we try to have really good mental health habits and take care of ourselves. But of course, it affects you, particularly when you're doing psychologically challenging roles.
I mean, we're music people, so we're screwed.
Yeah, pretty much.
But one thing, now, I know a little bit about Ibsen for once, out of all things. He's been also called sometimes like the father of like modernism for theater. And I think what I've derived from my readings of him, in English, not Norwegian, so it might be different. I'll get there one day. But he's looking at facades under any type of society, saying this is basically bull, these roles we're playing. This isn't really us. I'm looking at the reality of the situation.
Right. We've talked a lot about decorum, and obviously Ibsen wrote these incredible female characters, and people say that Ibsen was writing feminist theater, and Ibsen himself said, no, I'm a humanist, which, just sort of broadens that perspective. Ibsen really delves into the psychology of these characters, I think more so than a lot of people were in the time period, particularly the female characters. I think
he was like, you didn't really look like extremes on any side. He's like, I'm looking at the reality of the underbelly underneath.
Right.
And I'm always like, it's always tough for people going through the years these days now, trying to live your best life when you're sort of trapped in a way in these roles and everything. And I never understood that myself. It's like, why don't you just leave people alone? But we're expected to be this and that and behave this way. And he seems like he looks okay. Oh, this is the happy marriage? Not really.
Right.
And it's sort of about that, the masks people wear and why they have to, and the ways in which those are super restricting and harmful in a lot of ways. And they stop people from genuinely communicating, because it's true. And even today in real life, you wear a different mask for a different place. Like, you're a different person at work. I love the show Severance, and it's that sort of idea that you are different in different situations and sort of separate from the entity that is yourself.
Yeah, we talked also a lot about this idea of, if a society does the way, accomplishes what it intends to, you don't even have to have people, this idea of, even if you're not under this, being actively, or oppressed by someone, if society does its job, it, creates an identity in wherein we oppress ourselves. It sets us up in a situation where we have our own expectations and ideas, and maybe do things that are not in our own self-interests, under, the way we've been programmed to be, and it's also worth pointing out, since you've been talking about Ibsen history, that, Hedda Gabler was not a well-received production. It was many years.
There's one of his later ones, too, wasn't it? Like, say, was it 1890?
1890, I believe.
Yeah,
is one.
but it was well past the era that he was writing in and about before people came to appreciate it. The character was a little much for many audiences, for sure. I would imagine most of the audience were, married couples that were going to see a show that unraveled the mask, if we're using that term.
A lot of people, all of a sudden they're looking at each other.
Sounds like a weird version of anti-meme or something. Like that. offbeat
Because I forgot,
lifestyle.
I don't know what his
Yeah.
best known play was. I would think Peer Gynt would be up there.
They teach a doll's
Doll's
house
House.
in a lot of that's used in a lot of like high school.
My only
classrooms.
thing is I goofed that up with Russian literature for some reason, a doll's house, because it just sounds like something by Chekhov.
A doll inside a doll inside a doll.
Yeah, something like that. But that's the thing. I think the power of arts, and that's why it's sad what they're going through now, is we're trying to bring, not lecture you, but bring some universal truths out for you to see for yourself. And I grew up with that too, because you'd be shocked, I was always a little on the edge or whatever. But I saw a lot of people I grew up with, they were doing things not because they wanted to, because they were expected to.
Right.
And I saw how their lives turned out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I really don't want a 135-year-old play to be so relevant, but unfortunately, it is.
But
Right?
this is a question, and I think it'll be easy for you to answer. One of my friends is a writer, and she's about 61, and she wrote a thing on Facebook one day about, how can I reach a younger generation with my writing? And I'm 61. How do I reach and I'm first thinking how many younger people read, but then I'm going, what about everything we do? You should know from what you read. These things bring universal themes. As human beings, we all have them.
Right.
So I really can't. Maybe she's thinking more of the slang, how to be but I mean, we're pulling stuff out from ancient Greece that's more relevant than ever now.
Yeah, that's true. I think that's why some works of art are classics.
Yeah. And you think too, go back to, there was more censorship in terms of having to do these, and there's more content. Well, these days, censorship, who knows? But they're bringing some really uncomfortable truths out.
Sure.
And that's one thing I would like to say about this play too. Is it is sort of dark, isn't it?
It is very
So
dark.
I just want to. I mean, you have a really good experience, but it's not like we're going to pass out candy and taffy.
Maybe we should.
There's some humor, but it's
Okay, I'll spoil it. Hedda joins the circus. It's a lion taming. I'm sorry, you'll still enjoy it.
Leave
Do you have a
the
real
tunnel
lion?
Break out the stilts.
Do you have a real lion this time for this? Zebra, I think what got away.
I mean, we got some live piano playing. That's
Yeah.
that's the extent of bells and whistles of the show.
We've got the human circus all laid out for us.
Yeah.
And this is right in the time period, too, so I was just thinking how you move some things, different time periods.
So Marber's translation it has a very modern sort of bent to it, a modern feel, and we wanted to go along with using the Victorian, that sort of 1890s aesthetic, but throwing in some modernity.
I actually really enjoy the script it had a very DVC perspective, in that it very much honored the original text and does not on the surface go for a flashy modern telling. It just takes the words, the lines, and makes them conversational. It makes them everything is something that anyone in the audience would understand from a standpoint of the vocabulary and terminology and all of that stuff. It's very conversational. It moves fast. It's the fastest production of Hedda Gabler we like to move fast in our show too. But I mean, the script is written to have that kind of feel of a pace that a modern audience appreciates while still really paying tribute to the original piece. So that was one of the main reasons that we were excited about doing it.
I actually have to go backtrack a little bit because it's still puzzling me. If you can reveal, you don't have to. How did you do that Rubik's Cube and that Cthulhu play?
Oh man! So that was probably the hardest part of
You
that
had the
process
mascot,
for me.
too.
I had so I could see about this little tiny. I saw through these little tiny eye slits that I could see very little out of, and so I learned how to solve a cube, and then I learned a trick to make it a little bit easier. So
How cool is
I'm
that?
telling
Wow.
I'm telling Heather the whole time. She's going to fling it at me.
I need a plane trip to Australia to figure out how to do this.
Oh, yeah, I did those things. I just
videos.
broke out.
that's how I learned YouTube videos and algorithms. Yeah.
Like-
Did you see the thing?
No.
Speaking of that, I saw this thing on Today Show or something. Yes, I get up stupid early sometimes.
Wow.
But there's some robot that these guys made that can do a Rubik's Cube
Really?
in 3 seconds.
3?
What?
Yep. That's crazy.
That's actually here. This is like a good, just general
3.9
question for
seconds or
this.
something like that.
How did being in theater. How do you feel about AI? Thoughts on it? I don't want somebody like me to be able to act like you.
As an artist, I think it is very challenging. I know it's taking. I'm also a voiceover artist, and a lot of voice work is, they're using AI to create this voice work. I think it's in medical circumstances. It's a great thing.
Oh, if we could get I'll take it.
But I don't, in terms of art, in terms of people creating artworks, I don't know how we will ever get AI to create a piece of art that has a human, that has a soul, that has a humanity to it.
It can't even do that for, student papers.
No.
At this point. It can't construct something that sounds like it was made by a person or has any kind of feeling in it. So, from a writing standpoint, if you're using it to assist in technical writing, probably a useful tool for businesses. But, from an artistic standpoint, you're not going to be creating, poetry that lives in the soul through it.
I have a good friend of mine teaches ethics and philosophy at college, and she said the irony. She's telling me, I'm teaching an ethics class, a philosophy class, and most of the term papers I'm getting in are obviously AI. Maybe something's missing here.
You didn't quite get the core of the material.
It's interesting that you bring up the medical uses, because there is a distinct difference between the analytical AI models that are genuinely super helpful at analyzing, going through, finding patterns in information, and then the generative AI that can really only do as much as we've already done. It all takes from other works, and it is sort of like robotic plagiarism. It finds what's successful. It finds the turn of phrases that people have spent years agonizing over, and then just pulls them from other works and jumbles them all together. And I think you do lose a lot of what makes writing interesting through that. People will write stories with AI, but you have to go, why? If this wasn't important enough for you to sit and pour your soul into, why are you writing it? Why would I want to read that?
Right.
I think I used it once for a post, because I was trying to figure out a way to say something, and it suggested a thing. Okay, that sounds good, and I kind of filled it in from there. But like I said, when you get these phone calls and they're obviously AI, and you're trying to talk to the person, and they keep talking, and it's like, okay, obviously I can just hang up on this thing.
It's all plastic, what it is. That's why
it's pretty annoying.
I assure you all my crazy posts are me. It's all plastic. But I will say, I was talking actually to the great maestro about the Twilight Zone, so I think we're living in the Twilight Zone. When Rod Serling went in for heart surgery at Dawn, and he passed away in 1975, and I've been reading about open heart surgery. Bless advancements, because I'd be dead now, so I'll take every advancement we can get in medicine. But I want to just go back, again, as we sort of wrap up, that I think any of these great works, they stand the test of time, because also the interpretations could be, we're never done. We're never done with how we can interpret a lot of these things. You could take, wait a second, I found this from this character, I'll do it this way.
Right.
I see that happening with that. Between the differences in the characters, I also see that happening within their own performances themselves as we go through the process. That happens all of the time in theater, but it's, I think, more profound, maybe is not the word I'm looking for, but evident. It's more evident in the way that it's happening in this show because of the nature of the show.
The other part, too, like that is, did you get the other character just because you had to play both of them? Did you sort of understand more the motivation, or wait a second, this isn't like the.
I think it does help because Testament and Hedda are so intertwined in this piece. Understanding the perspective of both of the characters, I think is really important.
Do you make a connection in your head as far as, that's why he would do that, or she would do that?
Absolutely.
Or now it makes sense.
That's why he would tolerate the way that she is.
Right.
Because she has to be this way in order for this to work. And I think that does help to understand why these two people would even be in a room together.
It sounds more like it's almost like, okay, you have to be together, make the best of it tough.
It sounds like a good exercise to put actors through.
Sure.
It's really exciting because clearly the scenes change. This happens in all theater, but in this particular case where you have people who have played each of the two roles, and the way in which a scene manifests, a line comes out, the way in which a feeling shifts the entire scene, and it shifts the reactions. And one of the things that I found to be exciting is I have, super dark secret knowledge of which of these two characters each of them, from the initial thought, was more interested in playing. And then I've watched him through the process discover the excitement of playing the other characters as well.
There you go. Yeah.
I have seen them sort of fall in love with the idea of playing each of the two characters. When perhaps we went into the process, there's a mindset of like, oh, this is what I think this character is. This is who I think I most connect to, and watch all of that like change and flow and
Interesting.
develop.
That's
It's like
cool.
Starsky and Hutch. It's like David Soul when he came in. David Soul when he came in, he wanted to play. He's like, I want to play Starsky. The other guy's a drip. But he made the best of playing. He liked Mr. Granola. Everything else, but I've been inspired. I'll have Greg host the show next week. I'll be, hi, I play drums.
Silence. And I'm really good.
No, but I seriously, you should really go see this, and you explain what days it is and going on, because this is going to be another phenomenal work.
Oh, thanks.
Sure, we open Friday, July 11th. We have Friday, July 11th, July 12th. Both at 7:30. Our only matinee is on Sunday, the 13th, at 2 o'clock. And all of those shows will feature MJ as Tessman and Alexus as Hedda. And then if you really want to stop in and see the differences, then you want to come back the second weekend. That's Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, the 17th, 18th, and 19th. All 7:30 shows. MJ playing Hedda, Alexus playing Tessman.
And it's always, even
cool.
as they say, I can do it. I could go online, tell them, looks. I've actually done it. You could, so if I could do it, you could do it.
This one is particularly easy to jump in and go to the show. All you need is a desire to want to go see the show.
Yeah. I could just picture myself to like 15 years ago going to both of these in my wild years. It's like, did I see what I saw last week?
Where is the theater?
It's Muck is at 142 Atlantic Avenue.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's where we've lived for many years. DVC has performed there for quite some time now.
I know it better than I know my own apartment.
Alexa, were you ever there like when... Because remember the stage was over on the end?
No.
No, see, then...
No, I know
like
nothing.
for closer, we did like the round.
Yeah, the round.
Oh,
We used to be able to move the
memories.
seat.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
Well, July 11th, I
That's a note
gotta
from
miss you.
He's playing. But the only thing about the whole closer story, again, trying to align the letter up. Remember
Yes.
that? That was like the
Yes.
toughest part about it.
Yep.
But it was one of those things you always remember, especially
course.
driving home the one night. Seems like driving in my car become a topic we could do another podcast about if you don't want to know. But thanks everybody for being on. And Greg,
Thank
you
you.
have anything coming up?
the 11th, I was just saying, unfortunately, I can't make your thing. I got to play at Water Street at the club.
Oh,
with
sick, nice.
With Cupid's Boomerang.
Sorry that we can't go.
Yeah.
And then I got...
Artists can't go see each
Okay,
other's
I
things.
have the idea. Cupid's Boomerang can play Hedda Gabler roles. You can play Cupid's
There you
Boomerang.
go.
Yes, do it.
I'll be
I do some
Susie.
drums.
Oh, bass.
And then
He's
I
the
got
drummer.
to play at Cornhill on Sunday.
Oh, nice.
At 11 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, that's
man.
rough.
That's
Yeah,
like a bad
Earlier than
Yeah.
this podcast
That's-
was.
Yeah,
Well,
I'll be
that's
missing
why
that
we
one.
moved it up for half. I could do it at 7 in the morning. Certain other characters.
You would not have that many artistic guests. As
No, I believe it's like this time actually for musicians, it's sort of a tough call too.
Yeah.
What's coming up in the future?
What's coming up in the future?
I mean, for you, for plays and stuff, I don't know what
We're
that's
doing-
in the future.
Well, we have
I don't know what's
we have a
going on.
show in November. We are doing a show in November. This show, there will be a promotional tease for that show in the program, in the Hedda program. But we have not announced details really for it yet. We have hinted at details. It's definitely a return. So 2 years ago, not quite 2 years ago at this point, but 3 shows ago, we did a show called All the Devils that took place in 1920s. It was a Call of Cthulhu-inspired storyline. If you recall, a bunch of people got their pulled together into this group that was trying to uncover this mysterious, mythic entity. We're going to be returning to the story of those characters and what's happened to them in about 2 years, about the amount of real time. We're going to jump all the way like 1925.
That is exclusive news.
This is exclusive news. This is a part of the DVC cinematic universe, which is where we have Flash sequels, follow-ups, and prequels and all that stuff to our shows. So we are returning to some beloved characters, and there's bound to be more.
The story never
shenanigans.
Really
Twisted horror.
Like,
yeah.
I'm very big on just, I guess, aging and the prospects of just all the years and saying how the different stages in our life like that.
Absolutely.
We're going to find out. Hamlet 2. Hamlet faked his death. Got together with Tsar Alexander III for that youth potion and became Paul McCartney and the Beatles when Paul died.
Finally,
You can have that one. I give that to you.
Every year I finish Macbeth and I make some comment about when we read Macbeth 2, and there's always one kid that goes, what? Like, they just heard the worst news they've ever heard in their lives.
I still quote Macbeth because I was like, out coffee grounds. But I have a perfect song to end this, my quirky little sister, as I call Adriana Noon. This might give a little hint about how the theme of the play is, but go see it. Go see it twice.
Yes, please
This
do.
is called So This Is Good Night. And I think it's perfect for this. But thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.
Between the bedposts beneath the sheets, heavy headboard, how it hangs over me, and I watch as you doze away, and I watch as I sail away. So this is good night. Come before the storm without a warning, without a warning. Just let me out here breathing the mess you made of me, and my heart begins to believe it and let it all break. Stay alive, squeeze the water, draining the lake, towing on the bluffers, crashing on the bank. But they leave it on break, no, it don't burst. Empty eyes all so this is good You'll never fall You'll send me out to sea. Just let me out here breathing the mess the